everyone, welcome back to another Horror Realm Radio, the show that won't stay dead. I'm your host, Mike Exler, and alongside me is Rich Delzato. Rich, how are you this fine evening?
Hello, I am well. How are you?
Nice. I'm doing well. I'm excited that it's another Horror Realm Radio, and we get to hang out. You're actually at Horror Realm right now.
Yeah, I hope you're not jealous. I know everybody else has had to kind of cancel their convention plans this year, but here I am, sitting in the dealer
Wow,
room,
it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice.
living
So we
large.
bring you Horror Realm visuals on Horror Realm Radio.
Wow, this is
Very,
from
it's very
2014, in case you care.
2014, huh?
Yeah,
Long time ago.
it's the last
So
time I
with
took.
that, we got a pretty packed show this evening. We definitely are going to get on to some COVID discussions of conventions during COVID time and what we think 2021 is going to look like for the convention runs. But before we get into that, we're going to get into some little news that we have from Rich here from Horror Realm. So why don't you go ahead and take it, Rich, and let us know what you have to say.
Yeah, we got a small update this week. Actually, I think it's a big update. And, obviously not every week will we have one, but you are hearing it here first. We have added another guest for next March 2021 Horror Realm. We were fortunate enough to be able to add David Sheridan, two of many roles that people would know best. Of course, he was in Devil's Rejects, and he was Doofy in Scary Movie. Yeah.
Officer Doofy.
Yeah. So,
Officer Doofy reporting for duty.
but that's really not doing him any service. It's doing him a disservice, only bringing up those two. But, I like that they're both police characters and or law enforcement. And they couldn't be any more different. And you've met David, haven't you?
I have. We did a 10-year, easy for me to say, a 10-year anniversary for Devil's Rejects in Atlanta, 2000 something. I don't know what year it was. They all run together, but he was part of it. Really nice guy. Very cool.
That was a panel discussion?
Dude, it was a panel discussion, the 10-year
Nice.
anniversary. So he was very cool, very nice to fans. So I think people that have some reject stuff that they need to get signed. I think you'll be very happy with your experience with him. He's a good dude.
I had a great phone call with him last week, and you learn a lot when you're booking these people based on some of these phone calls. And I know already he's going to be a fan favorite by the time the weekend's over.
Most definitely. He's he's a good dude. He has a ton of creds to his name. So check out some of his other work other than the two that you might be thinking of, because that's always cool to do.
He's working
Check
on
out different stuff.
He's working on a lot of upcoming films with Felissa Rose, who's also going to be a guest at Horror Realm. So that's always nice too, when we can get a couple people that are in some things together.
It is like reunions.
Reunions, you say?
Something.
All right.
So that's the big news. David Sheridan going to be added to the March lineup for Horror Realm. So that's very cool. Go to horrorrealmcon.com for all the updates, and also check out the Facebook page, Horror Realm Convention, to see what's going on and the latest happenings for the show and for this great show. So we wanted to do a little discussion, Rich, this week about the projections of what we think the convention scene is going to look like in 2021, with Pfizer coming out with the vaccine news, with the election turmoil going on. Who knows exactly when we might be getting a vaccine, 3, 6, 7, who knows months. What are your thoughts, Rich, on you've been doing the convention thing a long time, fan and promoter. What are you expecting it to look like?
I think it's going to be a mixed bag for various reasons. And that's why I keep an asterisk next to our date even, because obviously nobody knows exactly how things are going to play out. And we do have a backup date from the hotel if we can't do it in March because of COVID. But back to my comment that I think it's a mixed bag. I think there's the obvious, it depends on your geography. you know, if somebody decides to do a horror convention in the middle of Wyoming next year, or, you know, there's going to be a lot less, you know, people and easier to do, spread everybody out, less cases. But I think your bigger urban areas, which most of the big shows take place, I think they're definitely going to have to, at least for the first half of the year, put a lot of the safety protocols in place and probably keep minimal crowds within. You know, they're going to have to cycle people through the rooms a little quicker, which may or may not go over well with fans.
Right. Right. It's going to be interesting to see how shows try to adapt what they've done for so long and see if they can make this work. I know a lot, you know, there's some shows scheduled in the front. I mean, hell, there's some shows going on
Right.
right now, if we're honest. I saw a photo op from a show. I don't know the show. I'm not trying to say the show, you know, whatever, but I don't remember what show it was, but they had a piece of plexiglass in the photo op
Right.
area. So you literally like stood shoulder to shoulder with the person you were getting a photo op with, but there was plexiglass in between. Um, I guess that's a workaround. If you're looking for something, if you really need that celebrity experience, um, it's just interesting, you know, to see what I think is, you know, for me, until some sort of vaccine or something, I don't know if we should be having conventions. I mean, it might not be a popular thing to say on a convention show, but that's just how I feel. Um, we need to, you know, really think about, you know, the important things or whatever. We can get onto that, but the shows that are going on, I have seen that the masks are being worn, except for a couple, but we don't need to get into that. The masks are being worn. They're doing the safety precautions as best they can. Um, but I guess my question is that really an experience, a fan
You know,
experience?
I've thought that over and put aside beliefs of whether shows should happen or not. I mean, I have my definite beliefs, as you know, on various things happening. Assume that, you know, for whatever it's worth, it's fine for them to happen if people want them to under the right circumstances. I think I've been thinking about it more, and maybe for the mental side of things for some people, maybe this is what helps get them through the next few months, even if there's a piece of plexiglass and a mask on you. Maybe just that, seeing that person, maybe buying a couple movies, maybe that's enough to, you know, get them off the ledge, if you will, for lack of a better way of saying it. So, even though
Right.
I wouldn't go to anything right now, and I'm not a huge fan of us doing a lot because I'd like to see the spread stop. I do get it, and you know, since stuff is happening, I hope it is helping people's mental state.
Right. I mean, it's a risk reward situation. And, you know, for the people that are doing it, I hope the risk is worth the reward. And I hope the continued safety precautions are being used. But, you know, with that, there's been the invention of virtual cons.
Yes, yeah.
We've been seeing, I think Wizard World has done virtual cons. I'm not sure if the horror world has done any. Have you seen any horror conventions do any?
I, ooh, I want to say I have, and I should have made note. I think some people have or will be.
Yeah,
I
because
think
I
maybe
know
even Horror Hound might be or did.
Horror
Or am
Hound
I
may have,
wrong?
and I know Monster Mania opened up like a store type deal
Yep, they opened up a
where,
store and then they did a drive-in, like mini con at a drive-in.
right, yeah, for sure. So you know the horror world is adapting as well, and you know I think shows are going to have to do that. You know, going forward in 2021, hopefully a vaccine is available and we can get all past this. But you know, I'm just going to be really curious to see how it plays out because
Me
I'm not
too.
quite sure how it's going to. I mean, I've never promoted a show. I'm not a promoter, um, but
Me either.
the it's just got to be a daunting task, I would think, to put a show on at this time um, with the extra things that you have to do on top of the things you already have to do as a promoter.
Yeah. What's good though is I think it's, you know, one thing you and I've talked about in the past few years, and you know, and Horror Realm falls into the same trap of um the cookie cutter convention. We all try to do the things that are successful at other shows, and though there's something unique about every show that you take away from it, sometimes you don't know if you're at Horror Realm or, Cinema Wasteland or Days of the Dead, whatever it may be. I think, some guys have gotten creative. These drive-in theater things, or some spooky empires doing like almost similar to kind of think like our horror flea market, but with a few guests, outdoors. The good part is I think maybe it kind of is breaking the mold a little bit. Guys are getting creative again, and I hope that, I know they'll return to the big venue cookie cutter show, but I hope some of these unique smaller events continue to go on too, because I'd be more excited to go to some of that stuff, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's another good point. The innovation from some places has been amazing and pretty cool to see. Now, for some veterans of the con scene that have been there and done that, sort of met all the celebrities you can, do you think they're going to gravitate towards wanting different and new experiences now instead of just the same old?
I think people will. I think the true fans will be drawn to both if the old way of the conventions returns, but if those unique events, creative events continue, I think the true fans will do both, because you and I have met enough of these people. Most of them just want to be at horror themed events and meet cool people, do fun things. And so I think the more you offer them, the more they'll take it. I mean, they'll support you, and that's pretty cool about the community.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you have not been to any of the drive-in events, have you?
No, there was that temptation, of course, because I love the drive-in in general. But I'm like, am I gonna really just stick to my car? Because I would just stick to my car in that situation, or and just because of my situation, obviously, I wouldn't have been able to get out and do what others are doing. So it would have just been torture, like being 20 feet away from being able to go check out some movies to buy, or But that's part of why I'm hoping this stuff continues, because I would love to do it next year.
Yeah, I'm hoping, not all things that have happened during COVID are bad, and I think this is one positive thing. The rebirth of, I don't want to say rebirth of drive-ins, but sort of that's where people are going now, and these cool events that are happening. So I hope that continues, and people just don't go back to rest on their laurels of what used to work, and maybe look to see if some new things can work.
Exactly. Couldn't agree more. And this might be a good time to kind of segue into our next segment, which will, I think, be partly a continuation of this conversation. Of course, this week we are debuting the From Behind the Table segment, which, if you weren't with us last week, is something we're going to do from time to time, inviting a convention vendor on to get their perspective of what it's like from behind the table. Of course, they have a different perspective from the standpoint of trying to achieve sales goals. I'm sure they see some things that the rest of us don't see when they sit in the same place all weekend. And we are going to have Bob from Time Bomb Toys on this evening. I'm going to admit him to the room. Bob's a vendor at HorrorRealm and many shows. I'm sure even if you haven't been to HorrorRealm, if you're on the East Coast, you might have met him before. So, and he's connecting right now. Hey, Bob, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, and you remember Mike, of course.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
Good, Bob. How are you?
Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
So I was just introducing, this is our, of course, just our second episode back of HorrorRealm Radio, and the first From Behind the Table segment we've done. So I just explained to everybody about what we're going to do and talk to you about. And we actually just had a discussion of what Mike and I think 2021 is going to bring for the convention scene as well, which I know how many shows you do, so it'd be fun to talk to you about that as well. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about Time Bomb Toys first and how you got started?
Time Bomb Toys we originally started with a focus on 80s toys, but then we moved more into horror toys, and we just specialize in horror collectibles, masks, figures from like NECA, Trick or Treat. And really it was a product of just me collecting and wanting to I have a law degree and use my law degree, and I set up a business, and just I love collecting and meeting people and talking about horror. So it was just a great mix of the two.
Nice. Well, being a lawyer, is our liability waiver that we have you sign at HorrorRealm mean anything?
I don't know. Yeah, probably.
You haven't looked at it close enough.
I just sign it.
Nice. Very nice. So, and how long have you been vending at shows?
Well, actually, Time Bomb Toys is probably about close to 6 years old. We started with a few like flea market type, like general toy shows. Our first horror con was actually HorrorRealm, probably I think 5 years ago, I believe it was.
Right.
5 or 6 years ago. And just from there, like we did 19 shows. We had scheduled 19 shows this year, and we did 17 or 18 last year. But things happen, you know. But we really enjoy meeting fans and talking horror. So it's like the best of both worlds, having work and what I get to do with my hobbies.
Nice. Well, I know Mike's going to have some questions too, but you know, one of the reasons I really wanted to do this segment is, you know, what I'm always curious what it's like from behind the table, dealing with fans, meeting goals for the weekend, maybe being in that same spot all weekend. You see stuff that the rest of us don't. So just, you know, I'm sure you've been to shows as a fan also. So what's it like, you know, going on the other side of the table?
It's interesting because I had gone to a lot of shows, like even like little toy shows and pop culture shows. And my first show, I actually did a little toy show. We made $87. So we were we were like disillusioned by that fact. But getting more into the practice of things, we ended up like just focusing on horror. And it's just, I mean, for us, it's work, but it's a good time. We get to meet a lot of the people that share the same interests. It's just, I mean, it's a blast, really. And we do all different types of shows. We do larger horror shows, smaller horror shows, like middle range. Our favorites, like, we usually hotel shows, actually like HorrorRealm, because it's a blast just to meet people. It's almost like a family. And you get to see people you haven't seen for a couple months, and there's other people you see like once or twice a month. And I've met a lot of good people doing it.
Good. Very nice. Yeah, and that is a unique perspective or difference with shows, whether they're in like a convention center or a hotel. I've always preferred the hotel setup as well.
Yeah, it's just I mean, the corporate shows are nice. I mean, I don't know if we'll ever get back to those, the size of those, but I like the idea of like seeing the same people over and over, and then like actually interacting with the guests as opposed to like just an autograph line and you just like herd people through. I really like the idea of like a hotel show. It just feels like a horror family, really.
Nice. And how are when you're vending? I'm sure of course, we know you've met a lot of nice people, but I'm sure there's a person that comes along and looks at your things and tells you it's overpriced or.
Yeah, I mean, most of the people we've met are great. You always have a few. It's mostly more like the comic book mixed shows, pop culture, where you have a mask for $65 and they'll want it for $10. Which is like way below the cost, or they'll tell you that they can get it on one of my biggest pet peeves is they can get it on Amazon for this price.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, most of the people are generally good, and you know, we've met a lot of good people. I haven't had too many people that they complain too much.
And you've made some good friends in the vendor community too that you look forward to seeing.
Absolutely. In fact, I just saw a couple of them. I met first horror show we did was HorrorRealm, like I said. I met Jeff Hartz. Everyone knows him as Buzz.
Yeah.
Buzz and Luna, and they're great friends with Sarah and I. And they're awesome people. And I mean, Willie Lump. There's just so many I can't even list them all. Really good people that I cherish their friendships now. And we share a common bond of horror.
Nice. Well, Buzz is awesome. So is Willie, and you know, it's not just HorrorRealm that you're going to meet these people. Any show in Western Pennsylvania, up into the Cleveland, Great Lakes region, you'll find those guys. So I think our listeners, look for Buzzworks. You'll like his stuff. He's got some cool things. And we'll get him on here one of these days. And then down the road where Mike and I are really struggling, we'll get both of you on and we'll all start drinking. And
oh, that's good. I'm sure we'll have a good time.
Somebody will share a cocktail once in a while.
Oh yeah, we've been known to do that. We have a good time. It's work, but we have a good time.
Well, Well, I'm going to let Mike speak here in a minute, but I want to maybe transition a little back to what he and I were talking about. We were discussing what we thought 2021 might look like for the convention scene. It was good news, obviously, this week with the vaccine news. Let's hope that continues. But what do you think? I mean, obviously, I know you're a positive guy and you're optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, I am. I don't know if we'll ever get back to like the larger corporate like horror hound type shows with 5,000-10,000 people all crammed in. But I mean, we'll eventually get there, but I don't know if it'll be anytime in the immediate future. I do see shows coming back this year. I mean, and one of the positives that we've noticed about like just this past year with the lack of shows is like the drive-in kind of exploded. And we did do a couple like mini shows there, and that was kind of cool to see that come back. I mean, because we're a fan of 80s horror. I mean, I'm definitely a fan of 80s horror, so it's kind of cool to see an old 80s movie on the screen.
I agree totally, and that's one of the things we brought up in our discussion was we saw a lot of people pivot this year to try to pull cool, unique things like that off, and we both think that the old mold will come back at some point. I keep calling it the cookie cutter mold for conventions, but I'm hoping some of the unique thinking continues and the drive-in experience and all that. I'd like to see it never go away again.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've seen a couple of things. We had a chance to do vend a couple, and it's been awesome. I mean, it's been an adjustment, of course, with the store and vending, but I mean, we're looking forward to it, and we're remaining positive. Hopefully this year we'll get back into it.
Mike, would you like to be part of this conversation?
Sure. Hey, you guys were just talking, so I was just listening.
I'm not used to transitioning,
so, Bob,
you know that.
Bob, you had mentioned right just a second store. You guys went into a storefront. Talk about that move, if you could.
Yeah, we had actually had a showroom probably about a year and a half ago. We were upstairs, a little tiny place, and we had this July. One of the benefits of not having every weekend taken up with the show is we actually got a chance to move downstairs into a larger storefront, and that's been pretty positive. I mean, we're only open limited hours, but I mean, we've met a lot of people we see at conventions. We've had people come from Brooklyn, Detroit, so I mean, it's all over the place that we've missed our fans, and it was nice to see them, and it's pretty cool to see.
I've seen a lot on message boards and whatnot, shows asking people to support vendors. Have you seen some support from the horror community during these times?
Yeah, I did see, especially in the beginning, when this all came down, like mid-March, our online was like, it went way up. And there's been a bunch of different shows that have put on like Facebook forums and stuff like that have supported vendors. And I've definitely seen, I mean, I don't know if we're recession proof or pandemic proof, but horror people are always going to buy their collectibles. And I've definitely seen, it hasn't really been an uptick, but it's been about the same now online. And I mean, we've missed the conventions, of course, with the groups of people, but the store's been good.
Right.
Nice.
Good. So when you're getting ready for a show, does the guest list of a show ever impact what you're bringing?
It used to, actually. Like my first year, I used to go out and I contact my distributors, and I would get certain things if Robert Englund was there, and I've kind of stopped doing that. I kind of know what works, and with my setup, I kind of just set up. I mean, I'll tailor it a little bit. Like if Robert Englund's there, I'll maybe have some more Freddy merchandise, but for the most part, I just try to focus on like my brand and what I bring with his 80s horror, masks, and collectibles.
Great, cool. So you've done a ton of shows over the years. Who were some of the coolest people that you met celebrity-wise?
Actually, we did a show in Michigan, and it was probably one of our first horror shows, I'd say in the first year. And we had set up our tower of masks, and we had Captain Spaulding right in front. And I was down, and this was before the vendor room was open, and I was down, and I was messing with my box, getting ready, getting prepared. And someone comes up and is like, "Who's this ugly bastard?" And I look up, and it's Sid Haig, the great Sid Haig. And he was just, I mean, he was awesome because that was when we first got into it. I was really nervous, and he was right at our table, and he talked to us for like 15 minutes before he had to go to his table, and he was a great guy.
Right.
Another one, probably
That's great.
Joe Bob Briggs. We had a chance to work with him a little bit, and he was just so cool. And I grew up watching him, so he was really nice to me. I
Yeah,
signed
for
my
sure.
cowboy boot too, so that was kind of cool.
Nice. So, your craziest thing you've ever seen standing behind the vendor table, what is that? been, do you
Probably
think?
some of the cosplay, the borderline going on, risque, I guess. There's usually there's a larger convention in Cincinnati we do, and there's usually a guy that always he's dressed up as Billy the doll from Saw, and he has a tricycle and fly
Yeah.
across the floor. I don't know the guy's name, but he's a nut. That's pretty crazy, but they can turn into parties. I've been to some, like we've been to a Days of the Dead in Charlotte. It turned into like a massive party. I mean, they're good times.
Right. Right. No, that's cool. So, do you have a online store that you'd like to pimp out a little bit for us?
Yeah, definitely. We're at timebombtoys.com, and then you can we have our hours posted on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all the social media sites. So yeah, we do a lot of online stuff. A lot of people will pick up stuff, like they'll choose to pick up and they'll pick it up. And we meet the store's about 5 minutes from my house, so we meet people down there all the time, even when we're not open. And then we're usually open Tuesday or Saturday generally.
Okay, cool. And will you guys be at Horror Realm in 2021?
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't miss it.
Bob might have been the first person to reserve his space.
Yeah. It's a day after. It's always falls around my birthday. I think it's the day after I think it's the 6th, 7th, and 8th, right?
That was this year. This coming one will be 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So we're really, I mean, that might be birthday celebration.
It is. My birthday's March 4th, so it'll be a great time.
So we might be picking you up off the floor for the first time.
Hopefully.
Well, I don't know, because you had a big event this year. You're a new father, so you might not. Your floor days might be behind you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, that was one of the positives of 2020. It wasn't all bad. We had the birth of our daughter Evelina, so we're really excited about that.
Oh, congratulations!
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Great.
As much as it stinks being stuck at home, not doing shows, things like that, I would imagine watching her grow up in her first year.
Absolutely. Like that was the one advantage of, because I mean, last year our weekends were taken up a lot. Like we were 3 or 4 weekends a month. This year, not really. So it was great actually seeing her and getting to see her and watch her. And she's awesome. Best thing to ever happen.
Do you have anything handy that you're selling online or in the store right now to share? Or
well, we have upcoming. We have the Puppet Master figures are on pre-order. I actually don't have them in store yet, but I have a cool thing. I can grab it real quick.
Yeah.
This is my favorite new collectible that I've gotten in. I actually have one for myself. It's by DWN Productions, Tom Martino, the mask guy.
Yep.
And this is actually a foam stuffed. We actually have a mask of the tall man too. It's the exact same thing, but it's the mask. And we have one of the foam stuffed in our. I just love this. This is just awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm a big fan.
That is awesome. And Tom, he does great work. He's great friends with T-Shirt Joe, who we all
Yeah,
know.
I know that. Yeah, I see that. It's all about. I love that. I mean, it's one of my favorites, and he does a lot of good work. And we have a Halloween 3 set too in the shop that's just great. And I'm a big Halloween 3 fan too. So
right,
nice. Right. You've hooked me up
Bob,
with a lot of
thank you
great
for.
masks. Oh, sorry.
That's all right. I just want to say, Bob, thank you for taking some time and hanging out with us. Go to timebombtoys.com. Support the local horror vendor. And again, Bob, thank you for coming on. We really do appreciate your support of the show and the convention.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Bob. I'll be talking with you soon.
All right, take care.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
All right. Well, that was awesome seeing Bob. It's
definitely.
Not quite
if
as much
been to
fun
Horror
as.
Realm,
It's all you, buddy. I'm done talking.
I was just saying, if you've been to Horror Realm, you've definitely seen him. So, and definitely he's been at a lot of conventions. So, if you're around, go talk horror with him and support. So again, we're going to segue into the weekly poll.
Yeah, so
What is the weekly
it will all
poll?
make sense. It all makes sense here now because the poll that we asked about was, why do you go to conventions? And we listed a few different things, and to meet celebrities, shop with vendors, I'll go down them and tell you the results. I'm gonna go from the least to the most, or to the one that was chosen the most. So the least chosen answer was the after parties, which I wasn't surprised to hear that, but there was 5 people. And
Oh,
by the way, we had almost 40 responses this week.
awesome.
5 people for the after parties. This one will hurt your heart a little bit, Mike. Only 7 people for the celebrity panels and Q&A. But
Oh,
that's
that's
still a
okay.
good number.
I'm used to that.
That was 20% of our responses, so that's not bad.
Not
Um,
bad, not bad. And it's going to see the celebrities and not me anyway, so it's all good.
the next choice was 8 people shop with the vendors to add to my movie library, followed by 9 responses for make new friends who enjoy horror films. And I thought that was a nice number because I know you and I both have always thought that that's one of the important things of going to these is you get to talk to people you're not going to meet in your workplace and things like that.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
And then we had it's very similar, and it was the next 12 people meet up with old friends, and that obviously makes sense. Sometimes you only see these people at these shows. Then we had a
Very true.
tie. Then we had a tie for the last 2 specific answers, 14 each to meet the celebrities. No surprise there. And 14 for shop with the vendors to add to my horror collection. And you see what I did there. I did a horror collection and a movie library because I think there's 2 different
You
types of
did.
shoppers at
I
these.
agree.
You and I, though we don't have the same behind the table experience of people like Bob and others, we did do a little vending in the day, so we know there's a difference between
We did.
collection and library.
Yep.
And then there was 15 people that chose all the above. So pretty interesting numbers, I thought.
Huh. Yeah, definitely.
You know,
I thought more people would have chose all of the
I
above.
thought more for all the above, and I thought more to meet the celebrities, to be honest with you. And that's probably just because I've become a
Yeah.
little jaded where sometimes I think that's all people care about is going to meet the celebrities. And as you know, that frustrates me because I think the vendors and the panels and, that's the heart of a show.
No, I
Not that the
agree. Yeah.
celebrities aren't part of the heart. It all makes up the heart, for lack of a better way of saying it.
I agree. Yeah, that's very interesting results. I want to thank everybody that took time out to answer that poll. We appreciate that. And we're going to have one up. When are we going to have a
I'll
next
have it
one
up
up, I guess?
before they actually get to hear this episode. I'm putting them up the Friday, the Friday before our Monday release of each episode. Try to give it almost a full week
All right, great.
of opportunity for people to answer.
That's great. So again, if you have a request of something that we talk about, or suggestion for bottom 5, or suggestion for a poll, email us at thescaryroomhr@gmail.com. So with that, what are we up to next? Weekly poll. I guess we're going to go into our film segment,
Yeah,
right?
we wanted to roll out another new segment this week that we'll be doing from time to time, where we focus on film company and talk about a couple movies we watched from them. And I'm going to share the screen, and
Right.
hopefully this works for our video. We'll see. But why don't you talk about your film, and I will bring up, if I can find them, the company that we're reviewing this week. So, and that
I watched. What?
I was just going to say, and that film company is Severin Films.
Severin Films. Yeah, I watched Killer Crocodile 1 and 2. Got this. Whoa. There we go. Got this. While I review it, Rich is going to go through and show you a little bit of their catalog so you can check that out. But see, I got the, this is the film color cover, nice disc cover. Always like that with Killer Crocodile 2, 1 on there, Blu-ray set. So it comes nice 2 discs, nice strong sturdy case. That's always important because I think DVD and Blu-ray cases have gotten extremely cheap, and I'm not a fan of that.
Agreed.
I don't know about you, Rich.
I agree 100%.
These films, I had never heard of them. Saw them one time at HorrorRealm, and I decided to pick them up. And these are great fun. Yeah, you can call them cheesy. You could definitely call them that, and you'd be right. I had a lot of fun with these, and I think if you're with a group of people and you want to check these out, definitely a great party film. People that sort of enjoy the sort of schlocky side maybe of filmmaking. But one thing I do want to say about this, the transfer of these is immaculate. It's great. On my 4K TV, it looked like brand new, and it's from 89 and 90. These were made. The effects obviously are all real effects, no CGI. Practical is the word. That's what I was looking for. And some are good, some are real good actually, some are on the not so good side. But again, solid film. Both of them are. If you like the first one, you're going to like the second one. It's very similar. Just a little bit of the plot. Killer crocodile. Someone is dumping toxic waste into the swamp, and ergo we have a killer crocodile on the loose, and no one wants to take ownership of what's going on, as the crocodile just kills everybody that it comes across. So the special features, as you can see up on the screen now, for Killer Crocodile, you just took it down. But also, what's that?
Well, now
Rich is dying.
No, I'm dying. That was hilarious.
But in any case, they always do a great job with the special features. The Fearless Crocodile Hunter interview with actor Pierto Gennardi. Did I do all right with that? It didn't sound dirty.
I mean, you're looking at who you're talking to. I don't know.
Sure, I'm not much with the Italian. This is very similar. I found there's a lot of films in the slasher genre and such where they are from, it seems they're from Italy, but they film them here, and some of the actors are American and some are Italian, and they dub it all in English. It's very weird. I don't understand that whole thing of why they do that, but this falls into that category. So it is dubbed, so the lips are off a little bit, but you got special makeup effects artist interview, the main actor interview on the special features, the trailer, closed captioning, of course, and then the special features on Crocodile 2, Prince of Plasma, Rossi story, Gianetta di Rossi story, trailer, deleted scenes, and also English and Italian audio closed captioning. So again, a great set. Go check it out. Severin-films.com.
And I love the features on there. That's one of the things you mentioned, the transfer, but it's the whole package with them. Of course, the artwork, you saw the artwork of everything I was scrolling through.
Right.
They definitely brought the artwork game back a little bit. And, some of these movies are obscure or have been out of print for so long, they could just cheap out and just give us a copy of the movie and people would buy it. And the fact that they get all this extra effort with art, deleted scenes, special interviews, just a first-rate DVD company, if you ask me.
Yeah, I want to say, to companies like Severin, thank you for bringing us decent media. Rich, we've talked about it many times. Overseas, their DVD, Blu-rays, I guess now, steelbooks are so much better as far as the features and just the presentation of it all than we get here in the States. So it's just nice that they're media fan and media collector focused. They seem to know what we were looking for.
Yes. Would you be curious to hear about what I watched from Severin this week?
I am definitely curious.
It is called the Peanut Butter Solution. It was one that I picked up at HorrorRealm this year. I had never heard of the movie. I'm going to pull up if I can find it, I'll share the screen in a second, the cover. The cover, I've bought many movies based on artwork. So here we go. I'm going to share this. And this is another one I thought, it looks cool. Never heard of it. And it is cool. So let's start with that. But here is the Peanut Butter Solution. Our heads are over it on my screen, so I'm moving our heads so I can point at it. Do you see the Peanut Butter Solution?
I do. You should just click on that bad boy.
Yeah, so pretty cool
You
cover.
click on?
Now, here's the thing I didn't know about Severin. They're willing to put children's movies out, and this was an 80s children's movie. You will see Severin Kids. They have a Severin Kids. That's a tough one. Division.
Yeah, it is.
It was, and it was made in Canada. So I was thrown for a little bit of a loop because I thought I was going to be getting into some horror or anything, and I thought I was going to be watching an adult film. But that doesn't take away from this being a really cool movie. And I think if you were fortunate enough to see it when you were younger, revisiting it probably is pretty awesome. I liked it. Don't get me wrong, but it probably doesn't have the same effect on me that a person who saw it when they were young it'll have on them when they see it again. You can see there's some extra.
The nostalgia factor is always high.
Yeah, and it was kind of funny in a way too. I mean, give you the quick synopsis. This kid goes into a haunted house, or supposedly haunted house, and it is haunted. There's a couple ghosts there. He gets scared, and it causes all his hair to fall out. But these ghosts are actually kind of nice, and they give him peanut butter with a solution in it to put on his head to make his hair grow back. So
ergo the name of the film.
Yes. And so he puts this solution on his head. I mean, they did a great job. You talk about practical effects. They got that peanut butter on that head.
Like the best.
But it caused his hair.
Did it.
This peanut butter solution caused not only his hair to grow back, but like the finest hair in the land. And a local professor, art professor or something, starts taking his kid's hair to make amazing paintbrushes out of. And so basically he abducts the kid to start taking the hair from him. And then he starts abducting this kid's classmates so that they can start making more paintbrushes. And so it kind of then turns from a little ghost story to a child abduction story. But all in all, it was a fun movie. I could see where in the 80s it would really appeal to kids. I like the tagline here. It plays like an after-school special telling kids their hair will fall out. But yeah, it's worth checking out if you like that type of movie, or looking to, if it's not your nostalgia, see what somebody else's nostalgia might have been like in the day or is today.
Right.
So, yeah, it was I was disappointed at first when Severin Kids came up on the screen. I'm like, what did I do to myself? But I ended up finishing the night very happy. And it just furthered my belief in it being a quality company of films.
Yep. No, that's good. So go to severin-films.com.
That's right.
To check that all out. So we're rounding out this episode. We have one final thing to talk about, and that is This Week in Horror.
This Week in Horror.
Ba-na-na. That's my sound effect.
Nice.
Do you like it?
Yeah, except Disney might be suing you because it sounded like ESPN, and they own ESPN. That was like SportsCenter. Are you worried?
They own everything.
That's true. They probably own us.
They're actually at my door. They're actually at my door right now. I'm fucked.
Nice. Well, it was good knowing you. So I'm going to try to do this a little different this week, because last week I felt like I was never going to get finished with This Week in Horror, and I'm going to guess the rest of you felt the same way, and I apologize. So let's just go down the line real quick of the birthdays this week. Some great names on here. Clu Gallagher, Return of the Living Dead amongst 100 films at least.
Yep.
Great guy. Great guy. You've met him many times, not
Yeah,
just
very
in
nice.
Horror Realm.
Very nice guy. Always nice.
I love that guy. Steve Railsback. Awesome.
You cannot act a negative.
He's one of your favorite Horror Realm memories, isn't he?
He is. I actually, I know Tim is going to laugh at this, but I actually had him on from Dust Till Con Radio because I think Steve Railsback is an underappreciated horror actor. I'm not a huge fan of Life Force, but I appreciate the scope and scale of Life Force as far as making it. And I still not sure that Manson has been portrayed better.
Agreed.
Than Railsback. So yeah, I just felt it was important to interview someone like that, and I was glad to have interviewed him.
Nice.
Twice, actually. Once on the radio and once at Horror Realm.
Awesome. Well, a few more birthdays. The late Harold Ramis was born this week. Obviously, don't need to say anything more. I mean, his
Legend.
speaks for himself. He was a great one.
Yep.
I can never say this last name correctly, but Bill Orps Jr. Is that how you say it?
Yes, close enough.
All right. Jodie Foster, who obviously has a little horror cred. Richard Booker, a Jason, and
R.I.P.
Did Richard Booker pass away?
Yeah, like 6 years ago.
What the hell's wrong with me? Unintentional. Rest in peace. And then, of course, my favorite name on this list, Jamie Lee Curtis. So those are the birthdays.
JLC.
That's the birthdays this week. Some really awesome
birthday.
movies were released in this week also. Carrie, Nightmare on Elm Street, Night of the Comet, Universal's 1931 Frankenstein, Gothica. They're not all awesome.
No.
The Mist. The Mist, which
Such a good movie.
I love that movie. I think it deserves a lot more talk than
you show me a fucking horror movie with a better ending than The Mist, and I'll give you a $5 bill. Why do horror movies need to have a happy ending?
Exactly.
You shouldn't go home feeling like, from a horror movie. Like, okay, some yes, but I think horror films should make you disturbed and want to go home and still be unsettled and worried. And The Mist, it does it. It's not afraid to do what it needs to do.
Exactly. Have you seen it in black and white?
No, but I bet it's amazing.
There is a black and white version you can get out there, and I guess saying it changes the movie is the wrong way. I mean, it's still the same movie, but visually, it's just makes it even better. You ought to, if you get a chance, check it out.
I will.
A few others: Sleepaway Camp, awesome movie. Amityville 3D, nostalgia.
Yeah, pretty much.
Penny Dreadful, Man's Best Friend, which I like that movie.
I do too. There's only that and Cujo as far as the genre goes. So,
there is a movie, Saint Bernard, which actually I think might be on Severn's site.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
maybe we'll have to check that one out next.
There you go. Thank you all for tuning in to HorrorRealm Radio. We appreciate everybody taking time to go to the surveymonkey.com or whatever. Rich puts the link up and take some time out on answering that question. We truly do appreciate it. Don't forget, you can contact us at thescaryroomhr@gmail.com. Anytime on the Facebook page, go check us out. Go to otherworldlyculture.com. That's my little project along with Adam and Tim. They got a lot of great content over there. Go check that out. A lot of good articles, press releases, things like that. Go check that out. Go to Time Bomb Toys. We want to thank timebombtoys.com. We want to thank Bob again for joining us tonight from a view from behind the table. So again, thank you all very much. We look forward to this every week. We hope you do as well. This is Horror Realm Radio, the show that won't stay dead.